Is we got to drain the AC down, recover it so you don't get sprayed in the face. Good thing to do while you're doing that, while you're waiting on the machine, is setting the lift. That way you ain't wasting time. A lot of guys like wasting time, like that guy right there. You gotta get this air box here out of the way. There's a lot of wires and hoses down there. The hidden bolt down here, it's hard to get to. It takes a 10mm socket.
The reservoir here, the fuse block, disconnecting the secondary vacuum pump and the brakes.
The box is very tricky to get out.
What the fuck did you do, Dane? You stole my fucking tool.
We got a new guy here.
Jesus Christ, yeah,
He's
this new
gonna try
guy
to get
sucks
it out.
ass.
Excuse the profanity.
Yeah, we'll edit that later.
The battery's so hard to get to on these turds. We're like taping this battery wire up here so we don't have no arcing. We don't want to start no fires.
We've been through many BCMs. The key to breaking this airbox properly without damaging it completely is to cut the rivet, stick a pry bar in between the two sections, pry gently, and it will come apart. What we're doing now is we got the fuse block removed. We're going to gently insert a small flat blade screwdriver, twist clockwise, and pop this wiring harness apart like so. And then the next step is to, well, we're having a little difficulty here, but you get the idea. You want to remove this connector like so. And then very, very important, down here is a wheel speed sensor for the right front wheel speed. You need to go ahead and make sure you unplug that, because if you don't, it will tear.
Alright, next on this driver's side here, we got to take a couple grounds off over here. Unhook the EBCM. Some of these cars have a wire hooked up to the rack pinion, which this one does down there. Make sure you unplug that. Damage will occur. Gonna unbolt these training lines and the shifter cable like this. A couple heater core hoses back there, fuel line. Rookie Tech's gonna go ahead and try to get this driver's side complete.
Alright, now as you can see here, we're down to the motor mount. All we need to do is remove this hose. But the key element in doing this job successfully is that you want to go ahead and disconnect all the coolant hoses on the driver's side of the vehicle. That way you drain them over there. Creates less of a mess. Once you have those disconnected, then you want to hop back over here to this main outlet hose. Go ahead and remove it, take your 215s out, and your whole left side is completely done, minus the two power steering cooler hoses, which we will get to later on in the video, down below. Attempted to take the shifter cable bracket off, which is not necessary. All you need to do is just simply release the clips and the cable will pop up on its own. He has a couple ground straps, looks like, to remove yet, an EBCM cable, and some cooler lines. So we'll check in with him in about 5 minutes. Hopefully get some progress done. The conclusion that we are almost completely done with the top end here. What you're looking at right now is the two power steering cooler lines. It's important to disconnect these lines from up top if you have the accessibility, because it just makes it a lot easier. After you have the lines, the hose clamps loose, we don't recommend you actually disconnect them until the very last step of the engine before cradle removal, as this will cause a gigantic mess on your floor.
You see all these hoses are off over here. Heater core, fuel lines, all this wiring harness is removed. Trainee cooler lines are disconnected. Shifter cable is disconnected.
As you can see by our rookie, he did not listen to the previous video step and broke all of the clips for the wiring harness. But no need to worry. Customers won't know about this because your airbox does hide all the damage. So, yeah. What we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and disconnect some AC lines from the compressor and the body side of the vehicle. Our rookie tech over here is going to disconnect this line here, and then I'm going to get out on the compressor and disconnect the lines from the condenser to the compressor, and then also this discharge line, which is the high side line, out of the compressor. Over the years, I've found that it's much easier to go ahead and disconnect this bracket off the alternator and get the hose completely out of the way. That way when you go back for a motor installation, it's one less thing that's in the way. Alright folks, as you can see, we got the vehicle lifted. Our cameraman, Jason McKenzie, went ahead and took the wheels off for us a while. What we're going to look at doing here is disconnecting the upper strut, the sway bar link, this splash shield, and we're going to go ahead and let the tie rod disconnected as well as the axle. And then the only other thing we're going to disconnect is this brake caliper. Now, some of you, you know, maybe amateurs, take both the slides out. On this vehicle here, all you need to do is take out the bottom bolt for the slide, swing the caliper up, and we like to hang them up here on the strut. The next step over here, after you get that caliper out, is going to be to remove this 10mm wheel speed sensor. Basically, it is completely identical for the driver's side, so it's very quick and easy. And it takes about, I'm going to say, 4 different size sockets. You got an 18 here, 24 here, 13 here, and a 10. So we'll check back in with you after we get this all completed. Forgot to mention, just want to let you guys know that if you just ever struggle with sway bar end links or tie rod end links, you don't want to be like the dumbass that works 3 bays down. You want to go ahead and grab a vice grips and apply it behind the sway bar end link nut firmly, I might add, and you will have no trouble getting that nut off. Thanks. And as you can see, we got the vice grips on the back like so. We're going to go ahead and apply the socket on the front. And see how easy that comes off, folks? It's no struggle at all. As you can see, we got the caliper hung up here like we discussed earlier. We got the sway bar and link off. We got the 2 nuts off for the struts. Now we're going to go ahead and take these strut bolts out. These are actually dead splined in here, so you don't have to worry about lining the vehicle as far as cast or camera goes. However, you will need to perform an alignment as we are taking the cradle out of the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and remove those bolts right now. Word of warning, just want to be careful swinging a hammer anytime you're working on a vehicle. You don't want to be hitting the body, scratching anything up, putting dents on anything, or hitting the spindle, putting unnecessary marks in the spindle. Customers don't appreciate that kind of stuff. Now, when you're going and removing them bolts, if you've seen in the video, I'm not sure if our cameraman Jason caught it in the shot, but this strut typically tends to move, and it allows for this caliper to come down and hit you on top of the hand. That's a big no-no. It does hurt. Been there and done it many times. So you just want to keep an eye on that as you're swinging a hammer. So we'll catch up with you guys in a couple minutes. Folks, now we're going to actually show you the point of failure, why we're actually removing this engine. With this shield released, you can actually look in here. You can see all the slime and grime. The customer's actually complaining of a black residue on the driveway, which clearly is oil. So what we're looking to do basically is we are removing this engine. We're going to separate the timing cover off the front of it and perform a reseal. So a break to thank our sponsors, Chick-fil-A. All through the month of February, you can go to Chick-fil-A and get a free medium iced coffee or a hot beverage. We took a commercial break just because we're moving so fast. We just wanted to take it all in, let you guys catch up. For some of you rookies and stuff, you might not be able to get these repairs done as quick as possible or as quick as we can. So we went over to Chick-fil-A, got ourselves a nice cold beverage, and we're going to sit back and enjoy it for a little bit, let you guys catch up. We'll see you in a few. Folks, we got the vehicle up in the air now. We're going to go ahead and do a full walk around underneath the vehicle, let you guys know what all you need to be removing here. Get this cradle out. Let's start with the drive shaft back here. Typically, on most traversers you can get away with just removing this joint back here, letting this hang. Sometimes it does get in the way though of removing the actual cradle. So we like to come back here and go ahead and take the carrier bolts out, and then back here at the rear U-joint. Next step, we're going to go ahead and take these two 15s off. Try not to be too aggressive with these. If you have to, use the torch. Broken studs are a pain in the ass. They just cost you more time. You don't need to go ahead and remove any O2 sensors. They stay connected the whole entire time. After you got the exhaust off, we're going to go ahead and focus our attention to the steering eye shaft. We're going to go ahead and lift your boot up here. And it's kind of difficult to see at this angle, but there's an 11mm that he holds the steering eye shaft on. After we got that off, we're going to go ahead and take off these 15s right here. They're just the accessories for a bracket. There's going to be 2 here, 2 on the left side, and 4 up front, 2 on each side as designated. Once we have all that done, we're pretty much ready to come out. We're going to show you the cradle fixture in a moment, but for now we're just going to go ahead and tackle all this, and we'll get right back to you. Folks, if you look over here in this hole, you're going to see those 2 power steering lines we talked about earlier. What I like to do is go ahead and put 2 bolts in the lines, kind of keep it from getting to make a mess everywhere. And also, it's ideally recommended that you tighten the hose clamps back up on the bolts, as the fluid will leak down around the threads. As you just seen right there, it's dripping now. You're going to come over here, you're going to see we got the drive shaft disconnected, exhaust is disconnected. We got our 8 bolts out of the accessory brackets, and we're pretty much ready for removal. You focus your attention down here. This is going to be your standard Kentmore engine cradle support tool. We apologize we were unable to get a J number for you to look it up, but just you know, we'll try and put a link in the video so you guys can Google and find this thing, and we'll go from there. We're going to go ahead and lower this vehicle down and get it ready for engine removal, and we'll get back to you in a couple minutes. I hadn't got that engine cradle holder installed. As you can see, there's 2 front locating pins on the front of the apparatus, and there's several holes in the subframe. Now, this is pretty much only going to line up one way, so you're just going to use the 2 appropriate holes and line it up. On the back, you're going to need to make some proper adjustments for the arms. You can see the large nuts that allow the shaft to move up and down. You want to get everything real level, and once you got everything ready to go, we're going to go ahead and lay on a creeper and remove our 4 21mm. After that, the motor's ready to come out. Folks, as you can see here, we got a common problem to run into. We wanted to mention this. We actually kind of set this up just to show you. This engine cradle support is actually in the way of our 21. So what we're going to go ahead and need to do is put the bolts back in on the right side. Put the vehicle up, pull this bolt out, put it back down, and then we're going to put the bolts back out. Alright folks, we got the engine cradle support in place. We got all 4 of our 21s out, and we're going to go ahead and remove this engine. Now, what you're going to notice here is a couple bit of noises, a little snap, crackle, and pop. That's just some stuff getting hung up. You can see there's various wires, fuel lines, AC hoses everywhere. It's just a mess. But, you know, with a little finesse, we'll get this thing out of here, no problem, nothing broke. One of the things I like to use, you'll see here is one of our sponsors gave us this snap-on bar stool. We'd like to use that to just get an overhead view of everything while it's coming out. And we'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Snap-on. They provided a lot of tools for us to get this job done. And Dave Ponce, you're an alright guy. Alright, we're going to go ahead and remove this. Go ahead, Dave, let's start the process. Just going to take it easy. No more. You see, like I said, you're going to hear some noises. Just going to make sure everything's out of the way. It's hooked up for dragging. We don't want to stretch nothing out, catch any wires. Folks, use caution when you're standing on top of bar stools, especially the swivel ones. Extremely dangerous. Make sure these trans lines don't get hooked on anything. Use this. Wires routed the wrong way. Got snagged up here on the hood cable release. Alright, looks like we're officially free and clear now.
No. Looks like the drive shaft's getting hung up down here in the bottom.
Yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and get underneath there and remove that.
Gotta give her a little finesse. Our rookie tech Dane is trying to see what he can do. Yeah, just move it a little forward.
Just need a little finesse. Folks, as you can see, there's oil leaking everywhere. You want to try and do your best to catch as much as you can. That way you don't have to stand in there stuff. It makes a very slippery workplace. We're all clear. You can go ahead and continue to go the whole way up. That's how it's hanging up here. Really not, and we're not going to waste any time making 10 different videos. We're just going to go over a quick review on the key items you need to remove in order to get this timing cover off. Like I said, once again, it looks like a lot of stuff to remove, but it's really not. It's quite simple. So the first things first is you're going to want to clean everything off the front of the cover. You're looking at cam actuators, solenoids, cam position sensors, and this mount here, water pump pulley, CERT belt. You're going to want to take off this timing belt or the CERT belt tensioner. You want to go ahead and remove the alternator. On these vehicles, the intake blocks the valve covers and permits them from being removed, so you're going to have to remove the upper intake, both the valve covers. Once you have that all removed, one of the last things you do is pop off this power steering pump, swing that off to the side, get that out of your way. Once you pretty much got all that stuff out of the way, you're just looking at a matter of, I think it's around 23 bolts, 24 bolts that hold the front cover on. And also, didn't mean to let this out. You do have to go ahead and remove the balancer with the 3-jaw puller. If you don't have one of those, you can just simply go to Harbor Freight. They keep them in stock there, so work nice. Duly noted though, you must put something in the crankshaft to block against. We had an idiot tech here one time, and he actually got a tool dislodged in the crankshaft and ruined the motor. So we're gonna go ahead and attack all this, and we'll be back once we have the cover off. As you can see, we got everything removed here. We got the valve covers off, spurs in the timing chain, alternator, power steering pump, CERT belt, bracket. I want to make a couple notes that if you paid attention earlier in the video, I was correct. There is 24 13mm bolts. Now this is an LLT bolt, LLT RPO code engine, and you have 2 10s right here. Another thing that is different on this motor is it also has an 18mm that holds the cover on. With that, all that removed, we're ready to go ahead and remove the cover. So normally, when you crack this cover loose, you're going to have a bunch of engine coolant running out. We actually already went ahead and did that a little bit, so you're not going to see all the drainage you would normally see. But I'd like to go ahead and stick the pry bar in here against the actuator, grab the alternator stud, slowly pry apart, remove it over here on the other actuator side, and just kind of work it back and forth until you have it loose. One of the things you want to make sure of is you have all the bolts out, as you see I'm running into a problem where just a couple threads were still stuck on. We got the timing cover off here now. As you can see, there's actually no gasket on here other than the water pump seal, and that is very important to replace. You don't want to go ahead and put this whole thing back together, have a coolant leak, and have to tear the engine back out. So we're going to let this sit over here. I like to prop these up against the lip. I like the coolant, oil drain out of them, make a mess. Our worthless cleanup kid Turtle will get that later. A couple things I want to point out here is earlier, you've seen this thing all together. It looked like a giant mess. Really, this is all the bolts you got to take out to get all this stuff out here, folks. It's not a big pile. I like to keep everything in here. Once you do a couple of these, you will know that what bolt goes where. If it's your first one, you just keep everything separated. A couple other things I want to point out is over here we got the. There's only a couple parts to reseal this whole job. I would like to replace both valve cover gaskets, which they're just pressed into the valve cover. And as I already pointed out earlier, you just go ahead and put that new water pump seal in. Very, very important. We're going to go ahead, clean everything off. What I like to do, how I like to clean everything off is with a razor blade. I like to just simply run the blade across the aluminum. Just scrapes everything off. We're not looking for a spotless clean. You just want to have a smooth surface to apply the new RTV. We're going to do that on both sides. And that's it. Alright folks, thanks for sticking with us this long. As you can see, we got the timing cover set up right here. And we got her all cleaned up, and we got the silicone applied. Today we used GM engine sealant 12378521. This stuff here, I've actually made an intake gasket out of this on a pulling tractor. Extremely strong stuff. Now, what I want to explain to you and emphasize is you don't need a whole lot of RTV on this. We got a little bit of a rookie situation going on over here, and here, and here, and here. What we did was we actually used a previous open bottle, and the tip was damaged, so that's why you see the excess. If you come over here, you're going to see our engine block and heads is completely cleaned off. We are ready for reassembly. So we're going to go ahead and grab the cover. same way we took it off. But this time, we're actually going to pick it up by the water pump and hold it. One of the other key things you notice is when we pulled the cover off, we left all the bolts in there. That way, they're all in unison. You don't have to look for anything. They stay in there. It's nice. It just saves you some time. We'll also have our one of our sponsors, Makita. We're going to have the Makita 10.9 volt ion battery impact ready to go with a 13 on it, and we're going to go line this thing up. And what I like to do is I like to guide it in around the crankshaft, and I actually like to take this bolt here and run it in, and then line it up on the hole like so. And that's it. Start a couple bolts. Then we're going to go around with the stand wood. I believe this is 18 volt. We're going to finish torquing everything up. Once we get everything all torqued up, we're going to install a balancer, install a new valve cover gaskets, and install the rest of the items on the motor. Alternator, power steering pump, upper intake. These vehicles do have a reusable upper intake gasket. You do not have to worry about that. Valve cover gaskets are also reusable, but it's kind of more or less a safety precaution. Another thing is, it's very rare for some of these motors. When you do a timing kit, they do give you these seals, but I've never once ran into a leaking seal on one of these engines. I've been working on them for about 5 years now. So we're going to go ahead and get this all assembled, and we'll catch you when we're ready to put the motor back in. So as you see here, we got the engine all back together. We got intake on, valve covers, power steering pump, alternator. Everything's all back together. Went ahead, one of the crucial things you need to do, especially in a delicate matter like this, is we're chasing an oil leak. So you can see we want to go ahead and get this engine cover, once it's all back on the motor, completely cleaned down and verify that there's no leak after we get the thing running. One of the other things I failed to mention earlier in the video is there's a couple seals on this water outlet. You can reuse them, but we don't like taking chances on this kind of stuff, so we go ahead and replace those as well. If you have any trouble with the CERT belt, it is one of the more difficult CERT belts to install. I just recommend looking at your local instruction manual, or draw yourself a diagram before you take the thing apart. We're going to get ready to go ahead and set this thing down in here, and then we're going to slam her back together pretty quick. Pretty much just a reverse procedure from here on out. So we'll keep you updated.
He said we
should. You can see we're slowly lowering the engine down, and you have to use a lot of caution here because there's several things like power steering reservoir.
I doubt that camera can hear you.
A lot of different things that can come into contact with the actual body of the vehicle. You want to make sure these power steering lines are out of the way. A lot of stuff can get hung up and cause damage, and we obviously don't want that. This being a warranty job, we're limited on how much we can actually add to the ticket. So,
Can I talk to you?
go ahead and keep lowering it down. Watch all that stuff up top. Make sure you're all right.
Yeah, let me do that.
Folks, the key here is to go ahead and lay on the creamer, watch everything come down.
Yes, I need it topped off.
And we want to make sure everything's lined up.
Whoa! Hold up!
Hang tight, Steve.
We have a power steering reservoir here. It's sitting in a motor mount bracket, as you can tell.
A little bit.
We need to move the engine a little more towards the driver's side here.
Go back up.
We got a rookie crane operator. He's not used to these operations.
Keep going. That big food up there.
We need to shift this thing a little towards the driver's side.
Up.
Hold up! You guys need to calm down. Getting awfully worked up over here.
I'm fucking hungry.
It's getting very close to lunchtime.
Alright, go ahead and drop down. Hold on 1 second. Now drop down. I'll pull it over as soon as I get it into place.
I think we're good. Hold up. Gotta go watch this coolant outlet here so you don't hit the mount. Alright, go ahead. We're ready for insertion.
Alright, we're gold, Jerry, gold. As you can see, we got the engine back in. We got all 4 of the bolts lined up. So now all it is a matter of zipping our bolts up. We're gonna raise it up, put the eye shaft on, exhaust, and what else we got? Just the accessory bolts, 15s that we showed you earlier. And that's about it. Once we get the bottom down, we're gonna put that wheel level height, assemble our struts down here, sway bar end links, calipers. That's it. We're gonna go finish the top up. So we'll see when we get her back down to the ground level and we're finishing up the top. Go over a couple key items that you need to make sure you got plugged in. Right now, we're probably gonna take a commercial break, grab some grub from our one of our other sponsors, Taco Bell. They got a great deal right now on mini crunch wraps, so $1 a piece. Got 3 different options. So we're gonna take a quick break, grab some grub, get geared up, come back out, jam this thing together, and go from there. Thanks. All right, guys and gals. As you can see, we're down on the floor. We got the suspension and the cradle all reassembled. Just wanted to point out one key thing. A little time saver. Go ahead and put your AC lines on first down at the condenser, compressor, and back here at the evaporator. Get your AC machine hooked up, pull your vacuum, do all that stuff while you got, you know, everything else going on. Everything else here is pretty much self-explanatory. If you need me to walk you step by step on how to plug everything in you took off, you're probably a dipshit and shouldn't be working on something like this. And should have your arms broke below your elbows. So we're not going to cover all that stuff. As you can see, we got the fuse block back in. We just got to make some minor connections over here. Yeah, it's fairly simple stuff. After we get this back together, our next step is going to be to bleed the power steering system, and that's about it. When we get the power steering system bled, we'll fire the motor up for the first time. Obviously, we'll put oil on it. Got this vehicle all back together. We're now performing the power steering bleed procedure. You see what we got here is a vacuum canister with a rubber stopper attached to the power steering reservoir. Now I do want to add, before you attach all this, the first step in bleeding this power steering system is to fill up the reservoir, put the cap on it, and then work the steering wheel back and forth lock to lock, about 10 times total lock to lock. That's going to start helping to get all your air out of the system. Then you're going to put this system on, and you're going to pull 15 inches of vacuum, roughly. 15 to 20 inches is okay. After you have that pulled, you're going to ask the associate inside the vehicle to turn the steering wheel left to right very slowly, and you'll actually see the air come out of the system, if there is any in there. So, also while you're doing this, you want to notice that the vacuum gauge might drop off a little bit. You want to keep applying pressure every once in a while. You don't want to lose your suction. Also, you want to keep an eye on your reservoir and make sure it doesn't overfill. You're going to continue to do this process until you no longer see any air in this hose. It takes about roughly 5-10 minutes. After you have a good stream of fluid, you want to continue to hold vacuum on it for 5 minutes with the wheel straight, and then that's it.